Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you all see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so let's start by going through the to-do items. First one here is create a proposal, communication for a dog food app to AeroGear proposals on GitHub. Summers, that's your card, it seems.
There's a thread on the mailing list about that, and there's a card in this week's to discuss it, so that's done.
Okay, so I can move it to done. Next one is clean up the README file of the mobile docs repository and create a Circle CI job. Paul, I don't think we have the Circle CI job yet, or do we?
No, we don't, but I have cleaned up the README, and I got something better than the Circle CI job. I got an intern to do it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll close down that Trello.
Okay, yeah. I can also move it to, yeah, let's move it to done. Well, should we move it to in progress? Because there will still be some Circle CI job at some point, or should we move it to done already?
I'll comment on it and explain what was done, so let me do that.
Okay. Okay, and the last to do was remove the service caching function from Android SDK and update the architecture guide to match the latest implementation. Daniel, did you make any progress on that?
No, I am going to work on this week.
Okay, cool. So I'll leave it there for now. Okay, so the new items are voted already. The first one is how to track, handle releases, tasks, etc. per platform sub-project using only one Jira project, AeroGear. There's a comment from Craig about how to create the releases, which I read it, and it Craig seems to suggest to just keep using tags, and for everything that's not Jira, we will just use Trello. Do we have any other opinions on that?
Peter, I might.
Go ahead, Laura.
Sorry, I was just going to add a bit of context about the targeted label that Craig mentions here. So on all the team boards, you can see there's a green targeted dash, and then there's a version. So for this upcoming release, it's targeted -0.1. And then for the next one, if you view some of the other service Trello boards, you'll start to see this the targeted 0.2 starting to come into play, which would be used for the next set of work that we'll be working on. So if you go into your team board and filter by that label, you'll be able to see all the stories completed by the team for that particular release. So that's given us an overview right now using Trello labeling and filtering of what's kind of fitting into the release. So I don't know if that answers what you wanted to achieve, Asos.
Yeah, if we are not going to use Jira to track what we are going to deliver, I don't see any problem.
Cool. I'll link in a link to the boards with the filter on, so if people want to see that in action, that might make it a bit clearer.
The other part is about using branches and tags. I wonder, do we need to keep in mind things like fixing bugs in older releases, stuff like that, where we would have a branch for every release on every component, like we did with 3.x?
I think that might be something that we could look at in future, but for this current one, based on Craig's comment there, I think we're sticking with just the master branch for now anyway, and then if we need to add release branches at a later date, I think that's something we can certainly look at, as it's an approach we've taken in the past with other versions.
And also have some automation on this maybe, or reuse the existing automation. Okay. Does anyone else have something on this card? Okay, so it looks like we're in agreement that we just continue using the current release process where we just tag everything and use Jira and Trello. Oh yeah, there's your comment. Can move this one to discussed. Next one is Google Calendar events are showing up private. Is there an email belonging to the community that we use for this calendar? So
yeah, this one was from me. So basically, just in case anyone's not aware of it, there is now an AeroGear calendar where we have the sprint dates included. We also have projected release dates, and the community meeting. This meeting sits in there as well. So the only problem with that right now is that because I created it, the events for anyone outside the organization will only show up as busy. You can't actually see any detail on them because of organizational settings. So if there were an email for AeroGear, let's say, and it was created under that, that would mean that community members would have access to the information in the events, which is obviously, we want that. So based on Pasos's comment there, I might just email Matthias directly to see can we get that. Or I don't know if anybody is still kind of actively in contact with him. Maybe they could take that one on.
I can ping him. That's no problem. Also, Dara said that there should be an aerogear@redhat.com email address that we could maybe link to this calendar.
Yeah, so that'll have the same issue because it's an @redhat.com email. It's locked down by org settings.
Okay, I understand. So we would need something like @aerogear.com.
On the repo?
Yeah, I guess, or Gmail. I don't know.
Gmail, yeah. Okay, I'll create an action for that to talk to Matthias and see what we have.
We could set up Google Groups for AeroGear. Obviously, someone would need to administer it, but I think that would give us best of every world. We'd be able to have the groups and all of the value and history it provides, but it wouldn't be tied to Red Hat. It would be tied to aerogear.org. But again, it's something else to manage and maintain.
But isn't the current group that we use already aerogear.org and not tied to Red Hat?
Well, then why can't we just make it public?
Probably because I created the calendar, so it's probably tied to me somehow.
Okay, so it's the calendar that's Red Hat.
Yes, yeah, not the mail.
Not the group.
No,
okay.
No, it's the calendar, yeah.
Okay, so we would need a community calendar, not a AeroGear Red Hat calendar.
Before we
break it down. Sorry, John.
Yeah, and for that you said we also need an email, some Gmail address that we can use.
Automatically in.
I think we have AeroGear, aerogearheadhatch.com email. It's an alias for the Matias personal email. I think all accounts we have around AeroGear is using this one, so we should maybe update these alias for some others email.
I mean, the
Yeah.
ultimate solution here, if we all wanted community email addresses as well, I'm not saying we do, but if we did, would be to get Google apps for AeroGear and have aerogear.org email addresses for each of us and have a community or a calendar at aerogear.org rather than aerogear@gmail.com.
I'm not sure that we want to do that with every.
It's an option if someone wanted to,
we may want to decide
to take a look at it.
Okay, Dara said that this actually costs money if you want to do something like that. It's $7 per person per email.
Yeah, that's a point.
At some scheduled, at some predetermined time. And then
per year or per month?
The services in particular.
I'm not sure, Dara. Do you have an website open with this information?
Yeah, let me just bring it up. It's been a while since I looked at it, but that's just off the top of my head. Yeah, Passos beat me to it. Yeah, so obviously it must have changed since the last time I looked at it, but it seems the cheapest option is $5 a month per user. I'll drop the link.
Thank you.
And they don't have anything for community, do they?
I've read blogs and websites before where people have gotten in touch directly with them and they've
actually going to add some tasks.
So it's not. There's no official thing as far as I know.
I think they give it free to schools. I've heard that somewhere before, so I don't know whether they have a general policy around how they do free versions of this. Would be worth looking into.
Someone could probably ask OSAS what other teams do.
Yeah, at least there's not a new, small, or enterprise. But would it be a good first step to just ask Matthias what we already have in terms of email addresses, and maybe there is one, non-Red Hat type that we can use with this calendar. I will do that. So, I'll see if I can reach him afterwards and ask him.
Thanks.
No problem.
I think it would also be after that, if there's no progress made there, I think Summers has a good suggestion there about figuring it, asking what other teams are doing.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I'll add it here. Okay. I think we discussed this. One is, so there were actually multiple cards with the same number of upvotes, so I just took the next one from the top. And this is AeroGear social media. Yeah, Summer suggests that we focus on YouTube and Twitter. I think we already have some activity on YouTube, which probably could be improved. But yeah, any other opinions?
Just based on, just to give you a reason or a context of why I added it, the Facebook and Google Plus, they are linked to from the AeroGear.org website. So I just happened upon it when I was reviewing some stuff there. And the Facebook is pretty empty. Nothing since 2015, I would say. Google Plus, the same. Twitter, very active and fine. And in the middle, YouTube. While there is some content there, I think mostly people are posting videos to their own personal channels. So I don't know what the thoughts are there. I think, if people are making videos, it'd be great to have it on the AeroGear. Interested in getting thoughts there.
Yeah, it was whenever we had demos, we posted them to our private channels, but we should probably stop this and just have one AeroGear channel where we post demo videos in progress on YouTube. I don't know if we have to maintain Facebook and Google Plus. Maybe it would be better to focus on YouTube and Twitter first.
If we decide to not maintain them, we should, I think, close them out, or at least just not link to them from AeroGear.org.
I think let's start by getting them off the relaunched AeroGear.org site, move Facebook and Google, focus on the Twitter machine and YouTube. I don't know who owns them that would need to get involved in closing them down, but any of us can get the links off the relaunch of the website. Anyone know who owns them, who has control over the Facebook or the Google Plus ones?
Yeah. I had control over the Google Plus one for a while. I might still. The Facebook one, it would be probably Matthias and maybe QMX, who was a developer who left before the acquisition.
I can add that to the list of questions to ask Matthias.
That'd be good if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Great. I think I'm an admin on the AeroGear Facebook as well.
Is there someone?
The answer to that question seems to be me. So, yeah, I have control of the Facebook and Google Plus accounts.
Oh,
are you happy to kill them with fire?
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do...
I have no problem with killing them with fire. I can unpublish the Facebook page right now, and I need to see what I can do to the Google Plus page.
Is there someone from, I know that one of the teams was working on the web or the AeroGear.org redesign. Is there anyone who worked on that on the call?
Yeah, it was the core team that worked on that.
Anybody from core team on? Oh.
Okay. So task-wise,
I don't mind taking that one.
Okay, I can ping Craig in this one.
Yes, actually, yeah, that's a better idea.
I'd say ping Jason instead. He's been more active on the site, hands-on on the site redesign.
Okay. So I think we discussed this one too.
Do you like?
So do we want to just track in it the decision?
Oh yeah, okay. I added an action for that, but it's good to track this.
The installer, yeah, that's an interesting one. I was just thinking about that.
Okay, I think we discussed the top 3 items. Anything else that we should discuss?
Well, we still have time, so do you want to just keep going through the list?
Yeah, sure. Yep, let's do that. Frequency of the community meeting. So, don't know who created this one. Wait.
Yeah. No, it's just that at the moment it's once every week. And that was kind of when we set it up. We didn't know how frequent we should run in the meeting, so we set it for once per week. Now we have few committee meetings so far, 3 of them. Yeah, so I'm wondering, how do people feel about the frequency? Is it too frequent, or is it not enough? Or should we change the frequency? Just see if any people has any thoughts on it.
I'm good with what we're doing at the moment. Our agenda of new items is not getting too big. We're not starved for stuff. And I think with the community release coming out soon, we'll have plenty to talk about. So I definitely wouldn't go for less than once a week at the moment with the community release about to come out. And I think depending on how much traction we see with it and how much engagement, we may increase it. My 2 cents. Anyone else?
+1.
I think once a week is fine.
Same.
Okay. Yep, I'm happy with that. I think we have few +1s, so I'm happy to keep as it is.
Did you have a feeling on a change in frequency yourself, Way, when you created the card?
I think it was created probably a week ago, last week, and at the time, I think maybe when I created it, there isn't enough cards on the new items, so I think that's kind of what triggers me to create this card. I was thinking maybe change it to every 2 weeks, but now, yeah, I think we have the community release coming up, and there are probably more items adding by people. So yeah, I'm happy to keep it for now, once a week for the moment.
In context of like things that we can talk about on this meeting, I know we've kind of thrown out to the community and said, like, what do you want to discuss, or people have taken things from the mailing list. That the original driver of the meeting was that some of the threads were getting too hairy, and it was hard to get a decision on some things, which is what drove the meeting. But another thought, which I had based on a conversation with Craig, was we could also use this meeting to review GitHub issues. So I don't know how other teams are doing it at the moment, but once we do the release and hopefully the community is more active, there may be a lot of issues coming in through GitHub that we want to look at, prioritize, something like that. So that's another thing that we could do at this meeting as well.
Yeah.
Would be interested in other people's thoughts on that, especially those on other teams.
So
if they're approaching that any way differently. I know we haven't reviewed, not as a team anyway, but I know people go in and kind of pick up some issues from the GitHub repos from time to time. Is there anybody else doing a different approach?
No, I think at the moment we mostly work from Jira, but when there are community contributors, we will have to have some way to review what's on GitHub and how to bring it into Jira or Trello.
Yeah, I think it's probably good just for the teams to be aware of their own GitHub issues, and if there's something that needs to be surfaced outside of the team or get feedback on, then putting that on the mailing list or in the agenda here is probably fine. We might want to just take an action to see what the GitHub issues look like across the board and how teams are dealing with them, and if they are, and if we find out that a lot of people are just letting that list grow exponentially, then we might want to start including that as part of this meeting, or like pushing something on that front.
So Laura, what's the idea, to create an action out of this, or to have a card on the board? Well, it's probably too soon to have that card at the moment, or what do you think?
For reviewing the GitHub issues, is it?
So
Yeah.
are you asking for an additional task?
Yeah, that was my thought on it anyway, that I guess certain teams are looking at certain repos more than other teams, even though there's definitely crossover. But I guess it would be like if someone sees that there's a lot of issues coming in on a particular repo, then they can drop a card in and say, oh, we want to review this in the meeting. So we could start off ad hoc like that. It may need something like repo owners, or people in the community who are willing to take responsibility for keeping an eye on that. And then if it gets busier, we could look at doing it in some kind of rotation. But as start off, my thought was ad hoc. If there's a lot of issues on a particular repo and somebody wants them to be reviewed by the team, then just add a card like that.
Yeah, I think we could also use the community meeting to go through the GitHub repositories that we have. And if we see that a lot of issues have been created in a particular repository, then we create a card here and ping maybe the person most familiar with it.
So the first card would be review GitHub repos for issues.
Yeah, or check GitHub. So a recurring task for every community meeting, check GitHub repositories.
We have a lot of repositories.
Yeah, that's right.
What exactly are we going to discuss for the issues? Like, well, I think the question really is, the reason that we use GitHub issues is because there is a platform for us to discuss. Is there any reason that we can't discuss the issue on GitHub? Or do we have to do them in here?
I think the idea isn't to discuss the issues themselves, just to make sure that we don't miss any issues. And if we see that one repo there are 10 new issues since last week, then we should probably ping someone or create an action on the board, not to review or have a look at the issues or at the details.
Right.
Just to give a bit of context on a way, the Ansible service broker team, when they do their community meeting, they mainly use that meeting for reviewing GitHub issues. So the focus of that meeting is prioritizing and tagging GitHub issues so that they're basically approaching the issues in the correct order, or maybe there's duplicates, closing duplicates, that kind of stuff. So the main focus of their meeting is reviewing GitHub issues. So that's kind of where that came from. I had a conversation with Craig, because he attends that one, just about different approaches that other communities are taking as part of their community meetings.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. If we're talking about priorities, then yeah, I think that probably makes sense.
Yeah, cool. And like it may be an approach that doesn't make sense for us. It's just a thought that I'm throwing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we first need to see or probably build a community that creates issues before it makes sense for us to review them.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, but should we track this somehow to not forget about it? I can add a card here.
Yeah, it could be worth when you ask that question. I don't know what the best approach is, but we could put maybe just a timer on that one for maybe a week or two out from the community release, because that could be a time when we're starting to see a lot of issues coming in. Something like that. I'm not sure how best to track it, but because like if we hit that one next week, we might just have the same discussion. We don't have that many to review just yet. So
okay, can you put timers on Trello cards?
Thinking what we want to do is what the
how would I do that? Oh, here.
yeah, there. Yeah.
We want it for. You said the week after the community release.
Yeah, if that makes sense, it's just a suggestion. Anybody else thinks there's a better approach, please jump in.
And give it a try. Okay. We also have, okay, this one has just. Adding search to AeroGear.org and docs.aerogear.org. For as for docs, I think there is, or Antora already allows this, but Paul, please correct me if I'm wrong. Are you still on the call, Paul? Okay. Yeah, so got a response from Peter Matsko, and yes, Antora supports search. We haven't, it's not included at the moment in docs.aerogear.org, but we can certainly look into that. And about the website AeroGear.org, I'm not sure if, I think the old website didn't have search, and I don't know how difficult it would be to add it to the new one. I don't know if anyone has experience with that.
Sorry, Peter. I was pulled away there. Did you? I noticed you're looking at search.
Yes, no problem.
Was there a specific question?
Yeah, the question was, but I think Peter already answered it. Antora already supports search. So how much effort would it be to enable this?
Well, I think to add Google, Google is already indexing it. So I think the easiest thing is to add a Google search option, which is not optimal, but it's easy, and that shouldn't take too long. I'm going to guess an hour, 2 hours. But the other option, if I could share my screen, I could show people.
Yeah, sure, I can stop sharing.
So the optimal solution would be, because of the structure of the data, we could add a search like this, which would give people more information as they're searching. That's search engine Algolia. But that requires more work insofar as all I know is that they have added it to the Antora doc site, and I don't know what else needs to be done other than that there is some documentation about it. So the quick win is Google. And this is the kind of stretch goal. Does that make sense?
What was it called? Algolia. The Algolia one looks pretty nice.
Yeah, because it picks up on the structure of the docs within Antora. So it gives a lot more context to your search results. But it is a bit of a black box insofar as I don't know what the effort involved is actually produce it.
I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if we can make a decision now. We only have 1 minute left, so maybe we'll leave that for next time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let it percolate.
Okay, so we're pretty much on time then. I'll move the rest of the cards to discussed. And thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks, Peter.
Straightforward.
Just before we close, Peter, if you wouldn't mind clicking on one of the labels on the card. I may have gone through this last time, but just a decision made and further discussion needed. I've added those to the cards that we talked about today, plus the date. So, for example, further discussion needed is on that search one, so we know that we can come back to it again the next time. As an FYI, in case people are wondering what the labels are about.
Yeah, I just seen them. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I think you can stop the recording now.